Alright, so today I'm going to be working on an 820-2936 motherboard that runs insanely slow after a liquid spill. Now, when you have a machine and it's just running insanely slow and you can barely even see the mouse move like it's running at 1 megahertz, one of the first things that I do is look at the sensors. These machines have sensors on them that tell them if the CPU is running too hot. They tell them, what voltage the CPU is running at, what temperature it's running at, how much power the charger is taking, how much power the battery is taking, and they all report back to the SMC, which is the System Management Controller. And if any of these things are fucked up, the SMC will then say to the CPU, run slower. It'll tell the charger stop charging. It'll tell the battery stop sending power to the computer. And, so on and so forth. I have this little air compressor here since this machine I don't have a heatsink for. This is one of my boards and there's something else wrong with it anyway, so I don't really care if I kill it because it's fairly worthless to me outside of just being able to compare values with other machines. Because it turns on and it works, but there are other issues with it that I'm not going to get into with this video. Anyway, so what I have here is a working board. That'd be semi-working board, at least for the purposes of this discussion. It turns on and does not run slow, and then I have this one that does run slow, which is the one that I have to fix for the customer. So what I did is I ran ASD, and ASD's tests will tell you what is going on. And here it says that the VPOR sensor is fucked. It says that the sensor is reading below the low point. Now, I'm not going to go through every sensor on this board and measure it and compare it with another one. I'm not going to waste time on that. I run the test, and it says VPO0R PBus. That's the sensor that's running below. Now, when it says reading below low point, it's usually going to run slow. When it says reading above high point or something like that, it's not good, but you can get away with it. But when it says reading below low point, that's when everything goes to shit. So what I did here is I looked at the schematic. Again, by the way, don't ask me where to get these things. Don't ask me to send them to you. I do not distribute schematics. I do not in any way give these out. You can Google, and you will find websites that sell these schematics and these board views for 10, 20, or 30 bucks. And if you do this for a living, just spend the 10 or 20 or $30. Again, I am not affiliated in any way with any of the companies that sell these. I am simply a customer of the websites that sell these things for 20 or 30 bucks. That's pretty much it. So let's take a look here. Now, you may be looking at the 70-page schematic going, oh my god, what do I do? Well, this says PBus sensor is reading below the operating limit. So what do you know here? Oh, this zoom on this camera is fucking sexy. Like, oh my god, I mean, you don't understand. After having that piece of garbage for 3 years, this thing is just fucking amazing. Anyway, so do forgive me if it doesn't look perfect. I'm still getting used to this whole new video setup and trying to work with it. So, here we have PBus sense. So, PBus sensor reading below limit, PBus sense. Here we go. So, what this thing does, I'm going to, I'm not even going to get into trying to understand how the circuit works because at this time I don't care. As I said, the sensors report back to the SMC. Here we have SMC PBus vSense. So this here is going to be what I'm interested in. I want to know what this is. And I'm not going to measure all this crap because all of this crap is what causes this to come out. What I care about is what this is. So the voltage divider of R5303 and R5304 create this voltage that goes to SMC PBus vSense. R5303 and R5304. And so this little program over here is going to tell me where the fuck those are because I am not a mind reader. I don't know where this shit is on the board. Luckily, this will tell me, and again, I am not affiliated in any way, shape, or form with any website you may find that sells these things. But if you have 20 to 30 bucks and you Google, you will find places with them. Alright, so here we go. R5303. Now, I'm going to explain in another video eventually what a voltage divider does, what a resistor does, what a transistor does. But if you don't know what those are, in the meantime, you can just search on YouTube and you'll see. So at the top of my voltage divider on the bad board, I have 12.5, which is the PP bus G3 hot. And on the other side of it, I have 1.121. Let me just zoom out here so you can actually see that shit on the multimeter. Okay, so yeah, let's just for your benefit. Yep, I got 12.5, and on the other side of it, I have 1.1. Now let's see what that is on the good board. Alright, so let me just walk over here. On my board that I know works, I have... Let's see, I forget where I was. Wow. Yeah, I really didn't think this through. Anyway, here we go. 12.5. On the other side of the voltage divider, I have 2 volts. Okay, this is the cool part. This is the aha moment. This is where you're onto something. Because when you have a problem and you have a theory, and your theory isn't really correct, that kind of sucks. But when you have a theory, and the measurements don't line up, that's cool, because now I'm sad. I can fix something. When the measurements do line up, then it's sad, because you don't really know why your problem is occurring. So what this means, most likely, is that one of these, most likely either this capacitor or this resistor here, are shorting the ground. Because again, the way a voltage divider works, you take big voltage and you put it to your output, and then from the output of wherever you wanted that to go, you put it to ground, and in the middle, this is what your voltage winds up being. So this resistor is doing its job, but this one, it probably isn't. Or this capacitor is leaking and fucking up and shorting the ground. My bets based on experience is that it is the resistor that's fucking up, because if the capacitor was leaking, most likely I'd have 0 volts here. A capacitor cannot pass DC, it can only pass AC. So when a capacitor breaks, usually it just winds up not passing anything, or it winds up passing DC. So if the capacitor was bad, this would be a dead short to ground, then I'd have 0. Or, it wouldn't pass anything at all, which would mean that it would be the resistor. Either way, my bet, personally, is on the resistor. So let's go to R5304 and measure it on both boards. Now, to measure resistance, turn the fucking power to the board off, please. Seriously, please, God, please, just make sure you always do that. Don't try to measure resistance with the fucking thing on. That's just going to end very badly. So the schematic, honestly, there are times when the schematic says the resistance is supposed to be something and it's not, which is why I always like to measure on a board that I know to be good in that area, just for the hell of it. And what do you know? This board looks like crap in that area. Alright, so here it says R5304 is 5 kilo ohms. The schematic says it's supposed to be 5.49. This is making me sad, very sad, because my theory is going to shit. And on the good board, it's 5.48. Now the question is that enough of a difference to fuck shit up? 5 versus 5.4. That is, let's see, mathematically speaking, that's about 10%. And over here, now here's by the way the important part, because when you measure these resistors, you're going to say, the schematic says 343 kilo ohms and mine is 343.5 kilo ohms. That must be the problem. Well, one of the things that you have to look at with resistors is something called tolerance. Right over here, you see where it says 1%? Over here where it says 1%? That resistor needs to be somewhat within that range of tolerance. This is a 1% tolerance resistor. That is what that is. So here you have 5.49 kilo ohms. 5.49 kilo ohms is the resistance. And 1% is the tolerance, meaning that this resistor can be up or down 1%. Now let's just do some basic fucking math here. Let's just round it for the hell of it. Let's say this is 5.5 kilo ohms. 5 kilo ohms is going to be almost 10% less than 5.5 kilo ohms. That's like a 9 or 10% difference. But this is that the tolerance is only 1%, which means that that is bad. Now, if you have a 330 kilo ohm resistor and it's measuring 330.5, that could be that the resistor is just off a little bit and it doesn't matter because it's so little. That could be that your multimeter is off a little. That's such a high resistance, which again doesn't really matter. So let's say it says that that is a 5% tolerance resistor, 330 kilo ohms. So, a 5% tolerance on a 330 kilo ohm resistor means that, honestly, I'm ashamed that I can't do the math in my head right now. But the point is, that doesn't really matter. But here, this is a fairly low impedance and a 1%, a 1% tolerance, which means that is probably important. Because again, we're off by about 9 or 10%. Now, what does drive the point home to me that this may be the cause of my problem here and why this thing is running like cock and balls is that when I look over there, you can just see that that resistor kind of looks like shit. Let's see if I can get this on the tripod or bring this board over to you so I can show you what it looks like. This is why I can't wait to get the microscope camera. I'm still waiting on that. I still have this cheap cheap old amp scope over here that I'm using. This is great for normal use, but in terms of recording, I can't really do anything with it. So I got this this new one. But the thing is, the head is fucked up. It has a trinocular head that I can put a camera into, which is cool. But the head itself is actually fucked up, so that when you look in it, you see a different image in each one of these. And as much as I would like to use that to show you things, if I work in that, I'm just going to wind up losing my damn mind. Just turn the rework station on since I know I'm going to be replacing something. Okay. So I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this well here. But see how this resistor looks kind of shittier than this resistor? So this is the resistor at the top of the voltage divider. And this is the resistor at the bottom of the voltage divider. Let's get a different angle just in case that doesn't show up, because I have no idea what this is going to look like once I post it to you, once I'm actually done with the editing. Again, I'm trying to use a camcorder as a macro lens, and this just ain't how this is supposed to work. So this is the top resistor. This is the bottom one that measures 5 kilo ohms instead of 5.5. You see how that looks different? You see how that looks kind of shitty on the ends? That tells me, that gives me a hint. That tells me that something bad has happened here. And this is also, by the way, one of the reasons that I have a pet peeve about getting boards that have been ultrasonicked, you know, before they get sent to me. Again, I truly appreciate that people want to make money on their own. That you don't really want to send something to me if you can fix it with an ultrasonic. But the thing is, these little marks over here, these little things, when I see these, the crap like this is seriously the difference between me saying, oh, this is going to be an easy board because I know where the problem is, and oh, bottom of the pile because I'm going to have to spend 10, 20, 30 minutes diagnosing it. Again, when you have a stack like I do, and you have a stack of, you know, like 50 or 70 or 100 boards that you have to fix in this very, very short time frame, and you're one person, what I tend to do is go for the ones that are easy before I go for the ones that are going to be complete nightmares. So, alright, let's get this thing back where it was before. And back to work here. So I hope for this to be a little easier in the future once I get the microscope camera. So I'm going to replace that resistor with a good one, which requires that I get a good one. Alright, so now am I going to go to Mouser.com and buy that resistor and then wait for it to get here to test my theory? Or am I going to take it off of a dead motherboard? What do I want to do? Yeah. Be smart. Seriously. So I've talked about this in prior videos. Here's the way I like to work. I like to work in a way where I will do what I have to the first time to get the work done, but then once I realize that this is something that I needed for a paying job, I will buy enough of it that I have it. So I will add, obviously, I'm going to add this to my list of things that I need to buy. So I will go to Mouser.com and buy myself a bunch of 5.49 kilo ohm resistors. But I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to make the customer wait just so I can buy it from there. I'm going to take it off of something. And this here is a dead board. It is totally worthless. So, and it's a 5.49 kilo ohm resistor, which is what I need. So off it goes. I'm readjusting this microscope here because I wasn't actually expecting to have to use this thing again. I was kind of excited about using the new one, but the new one really didn't work out. Again, that whole seeing split vision thing, I can't use a microscope and I can't see anything. So, first things first, let's take the resistor off of this one. And again, in the future, you will actually be able to see the soldering part in real time because I am going to have a camera inside of the microscope. So you'll actually be able to, you know, get all the little bits and pieces of soldering and learning how to do that stuff in along with the video. But for now, this will have to do. So what do you know? I barely put heat on there and that thing came right the fuck off. Which tells me that, yeah, that was probably, this got sodomized by the liquid and that was probably the cause of my problem. So I remove the bad resistor. This is, even though you may look at this table and say it's a mess, this is probably the cleanest that my table has been in a good 4 or 6 years. I completely ignored everything in the new job slot today for about an hour and did this. And the funny thing is how people rage when you do things like that. Like there were people coming in and leaving things, and I told them a time frame. So I told them a time frame, let's say 2 hours, and they were totally okay with that. But when they saw that after I took the device in, and then I was the only tech here, that I went back to cleaning instead of working on it, they kind of started looking at me like, aren't you going to start? Now aren't you going to start? Now aren't you going to start? Now aren't you going to start? And it's like, you know, I still got the thing done in the time frame that I told you, and you were okay with the time frame that I told you, but you're just not okay with me not instantly starting on your stuff. And again, limited personnel, limited time. You know, give me a break. Alright, so I'm putting the resistor in. Now another thing that I'm going to do is measure it again, because when you put the resistor in the circuit, other parts of the circuit can actually wind up decreasing the resistance. So I just want to make sure that that is actually what I needed to do, what I needed to replace. So I got this here. And when I measure it, I still get 5.47. Now this excites me. Because either way, that really does suck when you measure it on a good board and it's 120 ohms, and then you measure on the bad one and it's 60 ohms, and then you replace the resistor and then it's still 60 ohms because something else in the circuit is fucked up. The reason I don't like that is because I know this is stupid, but I get this surprise, this happy feeling when I win, like I've done something good, and then that little happy feeling like I win and I knew what I was doing and I did the right thing. It all just kind of goes to shit at those moments, you know, like when you think you did the right thing and you're excited and it's gonna work and then it doesn't work and then you're back to square one and yeah, it just makes me sad. It's bad. It's bad. Hate it. Completely hate it. So now I'm gonna turn this thing on. The first thing I'm gonna do is measure the voltage there to see if I have a change, and the second thing that I'm gonna do is run that test and see if the sensor has changed. Then the third thing that I'm going to do, after I find out where I put my fucking DC, here we go, is see if the slow problem has actually been repaired. So I'm going to check to see if what I did changed voltage on the board. Then I'm going to see if that change on the board actually manifested itself as a change in the test, and then I'm going to see if the change in the test manifested itself in something I can get $325 for. Because again, there are a lot of times where let's say there's a bad current sense circuit, right? Everything else works, but the current sense circuit doesn't work. And I'm like, yes, it's the current sense circuit. That's why the charge is not working. And then I fix the current sense circuit, and it measures exactly the way it's supposed to, and the chargers still don't fucking work. And the one-wire circuit works, and you know, the rest of everything around the ISO works, and it's just like, come on, it measures the way it's supposed to. Like, why? Like, I have a board right now that's been driving me nuts. Puts out the exact amount of power that it's supposed to, the exact amount of power that it's supposed to, in order to power the LCD backlight. You get that power on the LCD backlight, like on the actual LCD end of the connector. You measure, and there's 30-something volts going to the fucking screen. And you see a picture, and everything on the board, I mean every single part of that backlight circuit, measures identically to a good board, but it doesn't put out backlight. Like, shit like that is just fucking annoying, you know? But such is life. Such is life. Okay. So in the meantime, while I'm waiting for this, let's see. Do I get 2 volts or 1 volt on there? Here's hoping that I get 2. Because that's what the good board gives me. What do I get on that voltage divider? You can't see the multimeter. Go. 2 volts. You see that? Alright. Alright, alright. We're getting somewhere. We are fucking getting somewhere. I'm excited. I'm excited. Okay, so first thing is done. The change in the component resulted in a change on the board. Now, step 2, which is see if the change in the value of the component on the board and the change of the voltage as a result is actually going to result in the test passing. Because again, I could change, you know, the board could say 50 volts on there, or 2 volts, or 3. It could say whatever the fuck it wants. If it still fails the test, then I have not done. Then, you know, it's pointless, and we're back to square one. Okay, here's my favorite part where I don't know where I put my wireless mouse, so I'm using this fuck shit trackpad and keyboard setup to run ASD. I hate this shit. I really do. Seriously. Like, you have no idea how many times I do this. I'm like, why isn't it clicking? Because you're a fucktard, and this is not inside a computer. Alright, let's see what I get. Okay, so we've made it to VP0R, and I don't know if you saw when I first started the video, I don't know if this was on, but it said failed across the screen. Now it doesn't say failed, and VP0R works. So now, the change in the component on the board has resulted in a change in the voltage so that it matches a good board. That change in voltage has resulted in the test passing. Now we do test number 3, which is actually fucking booting this up into an operating system to make sure that it doesn't run slow as balls anymore. So, okay, let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Oh, fuck this. This drives me fucking crazy. It really does. Like, I really wish there were enough people doing this that seriously, somebody should just come to market with a really long LVDS cable and like a really, really long trackpad cable and a really long keyboard cable so that, you know, I don't have to fucking suffer with this. Like, just a little workstation that has all this crap so that it's already there would be amazing, but I'm not who anybody's marketing this crap to. They don't want, you know, there's no money in that shit. And they knew that even if they did make it, that I'm probably too much of a cheap fuck to spend on it. They're making things like G-tools that automatically take the corners out for you, and, you know, screwdrivers that stop turning the screw when you ask it to, and, you know, just all sorts of stupid crap that you don't fucking need. But stuff that would actually make my life easier, I can't find it. Alright. Also, the other reason, by the way, that I keep the trackpad plugged in is not just so that I can scroll through ASD, but there is an actual sensor in the trackpad. I know that that's not the sensor I'm testing, but knowing me, I'm going to say, why is it still running slow, or why is this still acting funky? If I'm troubleshooting a sensor issue, I don't really want to keep one of the primary sensors unplugged. That just seems like a dumb thing to do from a common sense standpoint. And again, I know that I'm the type of moron that's going to be like, why is it still slow? Why am I still getting sensor errors? And I'm not going to notice that I didn't plug in one of the fucking sensors that I need. That's one of the things that I try to get across to everybody watching this channel. They're all thinking like, wow, you're a genius. I'm never going to know how to do this. You're a genius. It's like, I'm a moron. You know what I mean? Trust me. I assure you, I am not that smart. I'm pretty fucking dumb. And I do a lot of fucking dumb things. I do a lot of dumb shit. And I miss a lot of things that I shouldn't miss. I miss a lot of stuff I shouldn't miss, you know. Again, I've always said I have a sales guy here. I don't have a customer service representative. I have a salesman. And, you know, I say no sales to people you know, that I'm advertising to. And I believe in that. We do not try to sell people stuff that they don't need. And frankly, I want business, but I don't really give a fuck if you shop here or not. I'm not going to jump head over heels to get you to shop here. I believe in sales in terms of, you know, if you should want something. And if you want something, you know, I'm going to show you all the options. I may even try to talk you out of it. And once you decide that you really want something here, then maybe I'll consider doing business with you. But I call him the sales guy because he has to sell people miserable stuff on a regular basis. Like, hey, we just replaced your screen and your drive died, but that has nothing to do with us. Don't leave a negative review. Or, hey, yeah, I know you came in with just a no backlight issue, but your board actually went on fire while we were working on it. So, you know, stuff like that. If I felt okay publishing all the dumb things, you know, he probably has a list. I mean, a list that could just go a mile fucking long of all the dumb shit that I have done that he has had to sell people. You know, again, I assure you, I am not that smart. I'm not that intelligent. And I can figure this stuff out. So if I can, for the love of God, don't tell me that you can't. See, I can't even put a screw into a damn motherboard. And here I am fixing them. You know. One of the things that always made me feel comfortable when at any job or anything I was looking to learn or a class that I was looking to take, one of the things that I always looked for was the humanity and the people that were trying to do the same thing I was. And I find what makes people human is the realization that everybody else out there is just as dumb as they are. You know, it kind of takes away some of the veil of secrecy. It takes away some of the insecurity. It takes away some of the, I'm never going to be able to do this. When you realize that the people who are doing it are dumb people just like you, that do dumb, stupid shit just like you, that don't understand things just like you, that started out just like you, it makes it a lot easier to actually learn. It makes it a lot easier because it gives you that confidence that you didn't have before. And that confidence is something that is incredibly, incredibly important when it comes time to learn something. So again, you may see that schematic and see that it's 75 pages and that you just may think, this is Greek to me. I don't understand this. This is insane. Well, you know, the test said P-bus voltage sense is not working. The schematic has a section that says P-bus voltage sense. Like, do I need to fucking spell it out for you? You know, I mean, again, it's not that crazy hard. Again, there are a lot of these repairs that are miserable. Don't get me wrong. There are lots of boards that I can't fix. There are lots of boards that drive me nuts. There are lots of things that, you know, boards that are easy that I overlook things on just because I'm tired and I need to sleep. And you know, I need to go on vacation. But there are also a lot of it's just not as hard as you think, and that's the point that I keep trying to get across. Because I know that that deep down you're never going to try to do this the same way I am if you believe that it is difficult. And what I'm trying to do with these videos is demystify something that has always been considered some type of ridiculous black magic or black art that you can't learn how to do, that only the most intelligent genius engineers know how to do. I'm not an engineer. I failed college. I flunked out of college 3 times. I lasted 45 minutes as a salesman at a health insurance company. I got fired from 3P Delivery, which was a $12 an hour job doing data entry of orders. So before you actually had systems like Magento and ShipRush that would take your orders and import them into a system so that you could then just automatically print little shipping labels, the stores actually used to fax this crap over. The stores used to fax all this shit over, and you know, I used to have to type those orders into a system. I managed to get fired after 6 weeks. 6 weeks of work at a $12 an hour job, managed to get fired. And I was very nice to everybody. You know, again, I got fired from a job at $10 an hour. That was on my second day. My second day at the job, I got fired from a job, made $10 an hour at the mall. There was a furniture store. And my job was simply to carry furniture from the back and put it out in the space and then throw the boxes away. I managed to clog the machine, the bale machine in the back, that you put the boxes into. I clogged it, and the guy got fined about $150. And the next day, he called me. He's like, "You're gone. You know, we don't need you anymore. You're fired." You know, this is a job, literally unboxing furniture for $10 an hour. And you may think $10 an hour is impressive wherever you are, but in New York City, rent is $2,200 for a studio apartment. $10 an hour comes out to $1,600, maybe like $1,200 or $1,100 after tax if you work full time. It's not really that impressive. So I'm going to cover the name because I'm going to cover the name just because I feel like that's the right thing to do. But before, the mouse was not moving fast at all, and the last time I booted this took about 8 minutes. Using a garbage, crappy 5400 RPM drive, it boots quickly, and well, look, the mouse is following me the way it's supposed to. See? Moving nice and fast and fluidly. And it works. And again, it's not booting that slow. It is booting slow because it has a Toshiba 5400 RPM drive. For those people that say that Apple products use the best hardware that's on the market, they use the best hardware and that's why they're the best, I do want you to know that when you spend $1,200, I mean $1,200 on a MacBook Pro, you get the exact same hardware that you can find in a $400 PC in Best Buy, which is the shittiest, crappiest, slowest 500 gigabyte, 5400 RPM drive from Toshiba. Toshiba makes very slow hard drives for the most part, and this drive in particular is incredibly slow because it's not an SSD. It doesn't have any SSD cache. It's not 7200 RPM, and in addition, if you compare it to drives from other vendors and that are the same spec, which is the whole 5400 RPM 500 gig thing, it's slower than those. So that's pretty much as slow as it gets. You know, the 5400 RPM laptop form factor and made by a crappy brand. I mean, it's just total dog shit. But the point is, that does boot up and it does run quickly, which means that I'm done and that I get to collect some money. So that resistor, by the way, the resistor on this board, this is free. This is a dead motherboard. This is a dead board that came out of my shit pile. So this was free, pretty much free. And if you need to actually buy the resistor, you can buy a resistor off of Mouser.com and even have it shipped to you for $5 or $6. What I just did there is use my brain to turn about something that was free to me into $325. And that $325 is not money that I'm taking from somebody who feels like they're getting ripped off. That's $325 that, you know, every other repair shop in town said you need to buy a new motherboard. You need to buy a new one. And this board is going on eBay and other vendors right now for like $450, $550, $600, and they're charging their $100 to $200 fee on top of that. Now, there's a business nearby that just went out of business. I'm not going to use the name, but the guy said there's just no money in this anymore. Like, the product itself is worth $800. I'm telling you the board is $600, and I'm going to ask $100 to $200 to install it. It just doesn't make any sense. There's just no money in this anymore. And that's why I said in the other video that you should follow your heart. Now, that guy's right. If that's your business model, there really is no money in it anymore. But if you decide to do something that somebody else isn't doing, like, say, use your brain, which is just such a fucking foreign concept nowadays, you can do things like this. Again, this machine, if you wanted to sell it, you know, you could get like 700 something bucks for it. So, and the guy can't afford to buy a new one. And, you know, this is so I offered a service that other places were not able to offer in the area. And I did it fairly quickly. And I'm making a fair amount of money for it for myself, and I'm also charging an amount that is very fair compared to the complete sodomy and rape of $750 at Apple, or, and, you know, it has to go to Texas for a week and a half or 2 weeks till we could replace everything, even though there's one fucking 5-cent component that doesn't work, and all the other places that are saying it's going to be, you know, 1 to 2 months for us to fix the board, or maybe we can replace it at $600 or $700. I feel so personally, I feel good about that. And that's why I also tell you, focus on, if you really want to get ahead, focus on shit that other people don't want to do. You can focus on iPhone screens as much as you want, or cell phone screens, but that's something that, you know, again, using a brain, surprisingly enough, using your brain to figure out even the most basic of things is something that most people just don't bother doing. It's foreign to them and they don't want to. But replacing iPhone screens is something that everybody wants to do, which means that you are going to get lowballed by your local Metro PCS. You are going to get lowballed to hell and back by every other person in their apartment that does the exact same thing that you do. And, you know, you're going to wonder, why is it so hard to make $50 of profit for 10 minutes of work? It's because everybody's doing it. That's why I try to focus on high-value services, and I'm going to have another video soon that is about the mission and purpose, and why mission and purpose is important to your business, and why you should know your mission and purpose so that you can set your services accordingly, so that you know what strategy you should use to succeed. I know what mine is, and it's to do the jobs that other people do not want to do. I know mine is to do jobs that other places don't want to do, and I know that my mission and purpose is to do those jobs that other people don't want to do in a quick and efficient fashion while bypassing the bullshit. So, this makes sense to me, and hopefully this video helped you, and hopefully it made sense to you. But above all, hopefully it inspired you to use your brain. Hopefully it shows you, again, like I say in every other video, that you don't have to be that smart to figure this out. You really don't. All you got to do is be willing to learn, be willing to sound and feel like a moron when you don't get things right, be willing to sit at the table and just use your brain and think and go through things and calmly realize this is not a 76-page, oh my god, nightmare that I have to be an engineer for. Just break it down to little pieces. Use Control F on your laptop. That's what Control F is here for. Control F is there so that when it says P-bus voltage sense, that you can just type in P-bus and find out, oh, that's the page where sense comes up. Again, above all, I want you to realize that you don't have to be a genius to figure it out. You just have to start, and you should start.